Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Horror Stories from the Internet. This time we are reviewing another Sonic creepypasta called SonicEndless. A creepypasta that, for many of you who don't know, is a creepypasta that was made and has inspired an actual Sonic creepypasta fan game based off of this same creepypasta story. And just to get rid of any confusion for this episode of my Creepypasta review series of everyone who is new to this series and know about the SonicEndless Creepypasta fan game to know that I am actually reviewing the original Creepypasta story that the SonicEndless fan game was based off of. I know for a fact that the fan game adaptation of this story is far more popular than the Creepypasta story itself, but yeah, let's get started in seeing what happens in this creepypasta. I am what you call a loyal gamer towards the classic franchises such as Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, and especially Sonic. While many modern gamers scorn at such titles and such in favor of more graphic and violent games such as Call of Duty and Dark Souls, I've always been pretty stuck to childhood classics. As a huge Sonic fan, I look forward to every new release, good or bad, despite the reviews of the public who usually dub a Sonic game terrible, because it did not meet up to their expectations. I usually had little expectation to save any potential disappointment upon going into a new title, like the games for what they are worth. Well, however, I feel that I can agree with some people that the franchise should cease and move on, and not just because I feel it's lacking. Not at all. It is because of something I've witnessed and came to understand 2 days ago. I was sitting at my laptop adjusting my Yu-Gi-Oh cards for a club I go to on Mondays, whilst watching a few videos on YouTube, until I came across the official teaser for Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice. While I played Shattered Crystal and was up to speed on the cartoon, I had little knowledge on the Wii U version due to lacking such a console. Only the opinions of others filled me in, telling me that the game was worse than Sonic 06. I couldn't help but feel people were over exaggerating as usual. After all, I am a part of the fan base and know how my kin act. Feeling intrigued by the teaser, I wanted to play a Sonic game since it's been a while due to my more busy life. I hardly ever get to play games nowadays and went to get a Genesis emulator and ROM of the original game. While I was able to get the emulator easy, getting a ROM for the original Sonic 1 was a task in itself due to many ROM sites I went to were shut down due to copyright infringement at the time, which is a growing issue to play games at present. At site after site, I eventually began to become frustrated, cursing under my breath, until I soon came across a site that seemed a bit shady. Knowing full well about malware and viruses from sites like this, I hesitated until I came to acknowledge that my antivirus would handle any attempts of infection. I clicked the site. Nothing wrong so far. My antivirus didn't notify me and instantly blocked the site, so I shrugged it off and attempted to download the ROM. Same result as my antivirus did not reject the download. It's probably safe, I thought to myself, as I extracted the file and started up my emulator. The game started up normally with the usual Sega logo and Sonic team text. When it reached the title screen and no music played, a glitch, I thought, whilst dreading the idea I would need to try to find a better working ROM until Sonic appeared out of the title screen. His expression wasn't the usual smug and cocky persona he usually showed. No, it was depressed and lacking in energy. I got angry and cursed loudly at the fact I got a hack instead of the original game. But I swallowed my pride and decided to try it out, hoping for a good trade-off. As I pressed start, the game instantly threw me into the first level with the title card saying no more. No more what? I asked myself as the title card moved, revealing the stage to my surprise. And to my surprise, I saw Green Hill Zone in a different light. Green Hill Zone was dead and lifeless. No, it wasn't filled with blood or gore like some crappy ghost story. It was lifeless in a sense that nothing or nobody was living there to the point the hill was abandoned. The level was silent and lacked my BGM period. I drew my gaze to Sonic. Sonic himself stood quietly, looking at the ground, almost like he didn't have any vigor. Just like in the title screen. I noted how bizarre this hack was and proceeded to move Sonic, really realizing he didn't pick up any speed, and only hobbled forward. At that point, I noticed I was on 0 lives, which was impossible normally because the original Sonic game was one of those early games that would end if your life counter hit 0 instead of giving you one last chance. The zone itself was empty, lacking any badniks, rings or obstacles. The plant life was very still and had a color palette to potentially imply they rotted away from neglect. As I moved Sonic through the abandoned Green Hill, which was a time killer due to how slow he was moving, I eventually came across my first trail of rings, which were positioned in such a way they made out words even. Let it end. I read this sentence and sat in thought to if there was some symbolism involved in this hack, trying to give a message across. I moved Sonic past the trail to another set of rings, forming a sentence. I can't take it. Who was leaving this trail besides the hacker who made this game? Was this another one of those horror story fan games? Was it one of the other game characters with a death wish? I really didn't know. I had to keep moving forward to find out. Suddenly I jumped as Sonic turned to look at me. I noted that this hack was acting like it was aware. Although a part of me wondered if the game and its titular character was indeed trying to tell me something. I gulped and continued to move Sonic in the next formation of rings, fearing what they will say next. They hate me. This concerned me, to whom was saying these sentences and was half expecting a jump scare at this point, only for the game to continue in its own definition of normal. I moved Sonic to the next ring sentence. They ruined me. I started to get a big idea on who was saying all these messages. Sonic. I knew that the series hasn't been doing terrifically well since Sonic Adventure 2. In some cases, Sega were trying too hard to make the next big game, but only to miss the fans' opinions. But was this just some troll's idea of a funny yet depressing bash, or was it Sonic trying to send a message? As I proceed to move Sonic across the stage, The ring lineup, the messages became more and more depressing. The rings were forming sentences such as, "I don't want this," and let my legacy rest," to "no more games." It was apparent that this was the cries of Sega's once fully successful and beloved mascot, wanting his adventures to end so that people's memories of him would not become tarnished by every game that was to be poorly received due to high expectations that wouldn't be met. And in the case of some of the games, such as Sonic 06, and what I've heard about Rise of Lyric, poorly optimized games that were rushed for the sake of Christmas sales. I was starting to feel depressed and kept trying to tell myself that this was a sick prank made by someone who looked down on the franchise and its fans. But alas, my feeble mind believed in the paranormal. Eventually, I reached the supposed end of the stage that looked just like the boss location for Green Hill. Yet there was no sign of Dr. Robotnik / Eggman, who would of course shown up to challenge Sonic every end of the zone. Yet why didn't he show up this time? Could the Doctor have also abandoned the Green Hill like every other living creatures to leave Sonic all alone? Sonic slowly sat down in the dead center of the screen and slowly began to sob. He sobbed for a good minute or so until he got up. He looked at me once more before running to the right, which led to a bottomless pit. He jumped into the pit and did the usual death animation. Nothing gory or demonic, just a little sound effect with Sonic's dazed yet surprised face as he shot up and down. The game then alerted me that it was a game over, but instead of the words "game over," it said "please be over," before cutting to a blinding mix of colors, occasionally flickering through images of Sonic's decline over the years, be it game titles, concepts, or certain characters. After all this, it cut to black and displayed Sonic falling from the top of the screen before hitting the ground. While he would normally have survived such a fall, he hit it with a crunch, not unlike the usual tile-breaking sound. As I sat here wondering what will occur next in this bizarre symbolic ROM hack, I jumped in surprise as the words "Gold influences the selfish" appeared on screen in the same text font for the "Try Again" text in the game's bad ending. The game reset through the exact same logos, and when it went to the title screen, Sonic looked even sadder than before, as if he had gone through this exact same sequence over and over again. Curious, I played again, going through the same sequence 3 or 4 times. Each time the game returned to the title screen, Sonic looked more and more depressed, even with a few bruises mixed in on his face. After seeing this, I hastily shut down the game and sat in horror after it clicked in my head to what this was all meant to mean. Sonic was trapped in this eternal cycle game after game, forced as Sega's little marketing gimmick to fill their pockets with cash. The concept, if you think about it deeply, is sickening if you consider this an all too real interaction to reach out to a fan, akin to that of a defenseless bear forced by some sick bastard to perform for their own game. All that happened, the empty Green Hill, the messages, the suicide attempt, the images, all symbolism to what Sonic wants but cannot have due to the fact that he is still alive because Sega wants him to be for monetary value. I didn't tell anyone else this story because I knew no one would believe me if I tried. Yet when I see a new Sonic game or other media, I sit and think about what I saw through that game, and hope that Sonic would rest one day. Okay, I gotta say, I really like how this short and sweet creepypasta was made. I loved on how this pasta went with a unique and original start to it, and with how the main character found the strange ROM of Sonic 1 randomly on the internet, and honestly really liked the idea of the main character just on the internet trying as hard as they can to find a Sonic 1 ROM that they can use to emulate and play on their emulator, only to get this weird ROM of what looks like a ROM hack of Sonic 1, only for it to reveal that the ROM itself was somewhat sentient in some sort of weird fucked up way. I mean, who knows what freaky shit you'll find on the internet, but yeah. Yeah, this creepypasta is really good in my honest opinion. But honestly, I really love this creepypasta. I'm sorry, I keep constantly saying that. But anyways, how the story itself was executed, this one was pretty good. Like, it was executed pretty goddamn well. It was executed very well, actually. And yeah. And despite some grammar issues this has, like, for example, there was like one part where it had like a weird grammatical issue that I was like having a hard time like trying to for a bit on like wanting this what I was supposed to say, or like for example it said like word instead of like sentence on one part. This creepypasta is still pretty good. It just, the fucking grammar issues need to be like cleaned up off of this pasta and stuff. But they don't even ruin the story that much. And as all of you already know or not, this creepypasta, as I mentioned earlier, this creepypasta has inspired a fan game based off of it, which inspired many other Sonic-based creepypasta fan games as well to be more original and such than just be a generic Sonic.exe fan game. And anyways, and honestly, also a sort of like the sort of like anti-capitalist sort of undertone message to it. And yeah, that's all I have to say, pretty much. But yeah, that's all for this episode. If you have any creepypastas to suggest to me to review, let me know in the comments below. If you have any creepypastas you made and wanted to share, or creepypastas you wanted to make somewhere for me to read and review in future episodes, go to my forum site in the description below and find the creepypasta category on it. This is Wonder Hellblazer, and I'll see you all later in the next episode.